Hello everyone, so in this video I will show you different strategies to print in Python. This video is for beginners level Python programmers who just started learning Python. So if you have just started learning Python, I believe you know how to use the print function, and I will show you different strategies to print in Python. So let's get started. So if you just started, you already know how to print. So for example, we can do print using double quotations, or I can do the same thing using a single quotation as well. Python. Both will give us the same result, but sometimes we may have to use the double quotation marks, or sometimes we may have to use the single quotation marks. So let's look at two scenarios. So I'm gonna first show you the first scenario where you have an apostrophe, and in this case we're gonna use the double quotation marks. So for example, if you try to print this using a single quotation marks, so for example you want to print access mission. Now this will give you an error because you have started writing this using a single quotation mark, but the single quotation ended here. So only X is valid for this single quotation, and then Python is now thinking, okay, this is, what is this? I don't understand this. Okay, it's going to give you an invalid syntax. So if you are writing something like this, you should be using double quotation marks. Start with double quotations, end with double quotations, and that will solve the problem. Okay, so in this case I can use the double quotation marks. Now let's look at another scenario where you have to use the single quotation mark. So for example, let's say I'm gonna print this. I'm gonna print this using double quotation. So I'm gonna print, okay, run. Sorry. Let's do this again. Oops. Okay, so here I want to print run. He said. So someone is saying run. So that run should be in quotations, double quotations, for example. Now this will give you an error because Python is thinking that you started with a double quotation and that double quotation ended here, and now Python doesn't understand what is this. Okay, because you did not put another quotation for this one. Okay, so if you want to put double quotations for this word run, you can start in a single quote, and the single quote should not end here, it should end here. Okay, so that will solve the problem. Okay, so if you want to print a double quotation marks in Python, you should start with a single quotation mark. So now that will solve the issue. So run, he said. Okay, so that's A and B. C is using concatenations. So in Python I can concatenate. Concatenating means you are combining strings. For example, we can do this print. I can say, okay, I am learning, and I can say plus plus I can say Python. Okay, so you can concatenate these two strings using a plus. Okay, however, the problem is there will be no space because plus will not automatically add a space. So I'm gonna just add a space either here, or I can add a space here. It's up to you where you want to add that space, so that will solve the issue. So I can concatenate two strings. However, I cannot concatenate a string with a number. For example, if I have a variable, let's call this a equal to 20. Now I cannot do this. I cannot do this with plus. Okay, so this a will give you an error. So if I run this, you will see that you can only concatenate a string to a string. So you can only do this using a string to another string. You cannot do this to an int with a string. Okay, this is not allowed in Python. Okay, so how do we fix this? That is in D. So you can do this by putting a comma instead. So instead of using plus, I can solve this issue by putting a comma. Okay, so now if you run it, it's gonna work. So instead of saying I'm learning, I'm gonna just say I am printing A. Now notice that a comma will automatically add a space for you. If you have a space here, you can have two spaces before printing that 20. So you can see there are two spaces, so you don't need an extra space when you use the comma. So let me run this again, and you can see that I'm printing 20, working correctly. Okay, so that's about D. Now let's look at E. So in E, we're gonna see, okay, how do I print two print functions in one line. So if you notice here, after printing something, Python automatically moves to a new line to print the next message. So we don't want to do this. We don't want to do this. We want to stay in the same line. So after printing, I am printing 20. I'm gonna say this print. I'm gonna say, okay, I am printing this again. Okay, now obviously this line will go to a new line. Okay, so if you don't want to go to a new line, so if I run this, it'll go to a new line, and I'm gonna print, okay, I'm printing this again. So what we can do is we can do this. We can do end equal quotation marks. So this will tell Python that, hey, do not create a new line after printing I am printing 20. Okay, so after printing I am printing 20, Python will print, okay, I am printing this again in the same line. So let me show you this. So you can see I am printing 20, then it's printing I am printing this again. Okay, however, the problem is there is no space after 20. To add a space, what you can do is you can put a space inside this double quotation. Okay, that will add a space for you. Okay, so now you can see that there is a space. If you want to put a period, you can also do that, and then add a space, you can also do that. You can see it here. I'm printing 20, I am printing this again. Okay, so end equal quotation mark will not go to a new line, it will stay in the same line. However, this is only for this line. If you want to stay in the same line after printing, I'm printing this again, you have to use end equal quotation mark, and then it will not go to a new line. Okay, so this is only for one time. Okay, alright, so that's how we can use the end equal quotation. Okay, let's look at F. So here we want to do the same thing, but we also want to print a variable. And let me first show you what's the problem. So after I'm printing this, let me show you one thing. So let's create a variable, let's say price equal to 20. Now I want to print this. I'm gonna say print the price is, I'm gonna use a $sign, and remember we can't use a plus since 20 is an integer number, so I'm gonna say comma price. So this will print the price is 20 because that's the value of this variable. So if I run this, you will see it's gonna print, okay, the price is $20. However, notice there is a space here. Remember that a comma automatically adds a space. So after the $sign, it is going to add a space. However, we don't want to see that space. So how do I not have that space? So what we can do is I can convert this price into a string. So I can do this price equal to str and price. So str is another function. What this does is it converts this 20 into a string. So the number will be still 20, but it will be displaying as a string instead of a number. So now I can use the plus. Okay, so now this is allowed because this price is a string. Okay, so if I run this, you can see that that space is gone. Okay, so I can convert this into a string. But what if I don't want to convert this into a string, and still I want to make sure that there is no space? So now to do this, what we can do is we can keep the comma, and I can do n equal quotation marks. Remember, when you do n equal quotation mark, it will not add any space, even though if you're using a comma. And then what we can do is I can do this print price. So since you're using and, this print price will be in the same line without having any space, since inside the end you did not put any space. If you do a space, it will not add that space. No space. If you run it again, you're going to see the same thing. So the price is $20, no space. So either you can convert this into a string, or you can do this way. That will also work. Okay, so that was about F. Now let's look at G. So using print with a backslash n. So let's say I want to, after printing the price, I want to add an extra line. So I can do this by doing price, comma, and then I can do a backslash n. Be careful, it has to be backslash n, do not put a /n. If you do this, remember, after printing price, Python will automatically go to a new line, but since you're using a backslash n, it's going to add an additional line for you. So if I print the next thing, for example, if I say print, print, and let's print the price again, you will see it will print the price again, but it will have two lines before printing price. Let me show you this. So you can see, sorry, not two, it will add one. Since after printing price, Python goes to here, but since it uses backslash n, it goes to a new line, skipping this line, so this line will be empty. So we can do this using backslash n inside a print statement. Okay, I can do this for a list of item 2. For example, let's say I want to print this 20 several times. I can also do this. I can put several strings together. For example, let's say I want to print a list of snacks. For example, I can say number 1. Let's type some names, programming languages name. Let's say Python. I can do a backslash n. Number 2, I can say Java. Backslash n. Number 3, I can say C++. And then let's do another one, backslash n. Number 4, I can say JavaScript. Okay, so every time you print one of the programming languages, Python is go to a new line to print the next one and the next one and the next one. So if I run this, you will see it. So you can see that I have a list of programming languages using the same print statements, and inside the print I am using the backslash n, which will allow you to go to a new line. Okay, so that is the purpose of using backslash n. The last one, I can also use just print without putting anything inside the print function. So for example, after doing the backslash n, printing the price, I can do this. I can do print, just to print, nothing else. So now what's going to happen is that it's going to create a new line again. So let me show you this. So you can see instead of having 1, you're going to have 2. Okay, so this allows you to create another new line for you. So backslash n will create a line, and then this print will create another line for you. Okay. The last thing that I want to show you is that you can, inside a print statement, you can use a comma and a plus. Let me show you the last thing. So I can do print. I can say, okay, sorry. I can say the price is, comma. I can print the variable called price, but I can also add another stuff with it. I can do plus 10. So what's going to happen here? First, Python will print the price is, and let's say the price got changed. So it was 20, now let's say it's 30. So I can just do plus 10. So Python will first print, okay, the price is, and then Python will do price plus 10, which will show you 30. So you can see it here, the price is now 30. So you can do a combination of comma and a plus inside the print statements. Okay, so these are several different ways or several different strategies to print in Python. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you for watching, guys. Bye.